All right, welcome back to the second episode of Tech Talk with myself, Aaron Hoffman.
Jason Kirschenbaum over here. We didn't introduce ourselves properly last time. Still getting used to some things, but it's all right,
And
happens.
we have our third out of four members here with us today.
Yo.
Alejandro.
Yep, Alejandro Barcacha, nice to see y'all.
Welcome. So
welcome.
We should dive straight into a very interesting topic that we've all debated individually with each other, but never collectively as a group. And that's it's a term that's thrown around quite often nowadays, and its meaning is kind of getting lost, I think. But what is and who is a world-class player in your opinion? And what does world-class mean to you?
I think right now I would say some world-class players are Mbappe and Messi. I think just right off the bat, Mbappe being so young still, I feel like I actually might as well talk about your definition first, Aaron. Like, tell me your definition, because I feel like it shows, like, captures the entire thing,
Sure. So for me, and I get everyone's is different, but I personally feel, again, the weight of world class has almost gone away, and I have a very stingy definition, if you will. But in my mind, it's a player that is irreplaceable, no matter what, and oftentimes it leaves out some top players to be included in my mind of what is world class. But to me, for example, Trent Alexander-Arnold is world class. His defending, obviously, of recent has been questionable, but there is not a single right back in the world, in my mind, that can play a ball that he can play. No one can whip it across like he can, hit a set piece like he can. Again, his form has been up and down this season, but I mean, we just saw his quality last season and over the past years before. And to me, there's not a single right back in the world that can do what he does. So for me,
yes,
is world class.
I agree with you there. As in this past Liverpool Brentford game, even though they lost, Alexander-Arnold was one player I actually saw in that game that was like making a difference with his crosses. So bouncing off of that, my definition of world class is someone who you can take off of the pitch and you can significantly tell a difference in how the team plays, correct? You know what I'm saying? There's those certain players, like Jandro said, Mbappe, you stick him on the pitch with France, world class, PSG world class, you take him out, you can tell a very big difference in how the squad plays, as well as I believe it's off the field as well, though. It's like how a player is, how serious he is in training, the one that shows up the earliest. Ronaldo in the day, world class, showed up first. You see how all the players follow along. It's someone that can be a leader, as well as when you take him off the pitch, you tell a very big difference in how the team plays and acts,
Would you consider Ronaldo world class right now?
Right now, I personally don't think so. I do think what he did last year in the Premier League was very, he had a great season. But
18 Premier League goals, and that is an output that most people would be extremely happy with.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying Ronaldo's not world class, but I would say Ronaldo on Real Madrid was world class when he was winning Champions Leagues. He was contributing an absolute amount. Now, it's like, it's the same thing with Messi and Barca. It's like, that's world class, right? You take Messi out of any trophy they won, and they probably wouldn't have won it, right? Like, that's a crazy take to say, but
maybe
the contribution of Messi with the goal. No, look at back in the days
in the World Cup. You said
no, not the World Cup. Like back in the day, like Xavi, Iniesta,
Messi. I feel like they could have won some of those games.
Maybe, right? But that's like
But of course, I'm not. He is a world class player.
But we're those are the simple ones. We're naming simple, like the world class. Exactly.
Right. So some interesting ones to me, and Alejandro, we were speaking about it earlier. Karim Benzema.
I absolutely agree with you.
Ballon d'Or winner. Absolutely a phenom of a player.
Right.
Can I actually, I hate to come in and cut you out. You say Benzema, but I think Olivier Giroud still to this day is a world-class player. I believe so.
I disagree, and I was going to disagree with how I was portraying Benzema. So, if I may, Benzema's a phenomenal player. I am not taking anything away from them. Obviously, he won single-handedly Real Madrid Champions League last season. Their comeback up against Chelsea, PSG, City, all down to him, right? But in my mind, you can replace him. Not easily. Not
I
easily.
don't know. They tried multiple
But
times.
you put Holland into that Real Madrid
That's just
team.
different though. Holland
Is it?
is yes.
And you
'Cause
put
Holland's gonna be
Lewandowski into that Real Madrid team. And I would say the output would
Harry
be
Kane.
yeah, Harry Kane.
I don't rate Harry Kane
And for
personally.
that
I
I
don't
mean,
either,
but
honestly.
he is. I don't think
No,
he's
I
the
don't rate
best, but
Harry Kane.
I mean, he's a phenomenal goal scorer, and nothing can take away from that.
Absolutely, but
If
he
you
can't
can
win.
if you can put in a top striker to another team, is that player then world class still? If he can be replaced,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying Benzema's not. I'm really
Okay, so
unsure.
back
I'm
to
really
the
unsure.
back to the
But
crazy statement then. Giroud, okay, clearly he's not world class, but
not
I
in
would
my
say
man, but phenomenal
I
player.
would say Giroud though is the most underrated striker
Oh, for sure.
maybe in history. Seriously, like everyone
France
does not
top goal
give him
scorer,
Yeah,
53
top
goals.
Yeah.
that on top, and that's why I was saying he was like, he's potentially like he's one of the best strikers. Look at what he did for Arsenal. Look at what Chelsea. He went and
Still
scored for
doing for
Chelsea.
Milan.
Still for
Still
Milan.
doing
He's
for Milan.
34.
He's about to get an extension as
Yeah,
well.
he's great. He's great.
No, all
No,
credit
but
to him. I just think that's just something
let me
interesting
let me
to.
think. I'm trying to think of some other world class players that I think.
Do you think Neymar's world class?
That was my next question.
I feel like he's one of those players. It's a little iffy because I think he's special on the field, but I feel like you can replace him and the team contributes. He contributes. The player will contribute to the team a little more than he does.
Neymar is such a special player, but in my mind, what has he brought to PSG?
That's what I'm saying.
He's only won league titles. They still haven't had a Champions League title.
It's entertainment. He's an entertaining player,
Of course, but I agree. I think he can be replaced. Obviously, Messi cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
His influence, his impact on the field. I guess if you want to talk about off the field, Jason, then that too. But I was watching Arsenal Fan TV the other day. I think they run a great show over there.
They do. Absolutely.
But they were discussing whether a player needs to have international success to be world class. I don't think so. And in that debate, they were talking about De Bruyne, who maybe it's City bias, as can tell by the background, but I mean, I think he's undoubtedly world class. I think he's I think he's the best midfielder in the world at the moment.
So here's
and you don't need success with Belgium to be world class.
But here's the thing, right? You world class, like you can define world class two ways, right? If you look at it just club, but if you really do want to add international to it, I would say De Bruyne is not world class, right?
But I'm saying that's irrelevant because then not a single English player would be world class, and I think
that's not true.
I don't think
David Beckham was world class.
But do you think Bellingham is world class?
Maybe he's
too young.
I think he's a little young
absolutely,
too.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more realistic. Like, I'm not saying international. I personally think, international, like, it helps. It's not like, like De Bruyne, yes, world-class midfielder, not for his country, though. You know what I mean?
So was Messi not world-class until he won a Copa America?
No, but that's not what I'm saying.
So then, I'm just saying it's worth noting.
I feel like Messi's an alien. You can't really talk
exactly.
Like
but then I don't think the
gravy.
international aspect is as important as
I agree to an extent. I mean, I feel like internationally, like winning something internationally is like completely.
It is. It's completely.
It's harder. It's harder than winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of just regular.
You just tell by the way they play as well, though. Like the way the World Cup is and the way international, it's just very different than club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only training with these guys
exactly once,
often,
twice, a year, for a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's a big thing to say. International doesn't matter for a world-class player,
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I think it adds a little something to it, but I don't know.
I think the club level just speaks more to who they are as a player because you can see their impact truly week in, week out versus in international tournaments. They can have a great 7 games and their price can increase by $100 million, pounds, euros, whatever. Or they could not. And that 7 games, in my opinion, shouldn't be weighted that highly on their transfer fee or on the argument of how they are as a player. it can help to increase kind of their fee a bit or help recognize that they are truly a special player. But I don't think it should be as weighted as it is.
I think I have the definition of a world-class player here.
I'd love to hear it.
David Villa. Absolutely. David Villa, prime David Villa, Barcelona, World Cup winner for Spain. Dude was a world-class player. You put him on that pitch with Spain and Barca, very, very hard to do. He couldn't tackle the lad,
But could he have been replaced by Drogba?
Honestly, no, I don't think so. Villa played a very significant role in that Barca team and a very significant role in the Spanish team because he played on that left wing, cutting in, scoring just screamers first things first. But he could also rotate to the striker position. He could also rotate to the number 10, and he could also rotate to the right side of the wing. He could play anywhere up front, and he would perform. Right? That's that's world class right there. It's world class. I think so. Personally, I think David Villa is a world-class player.
Yeah. I guess on the note of Bellingham, I guess we're all in agreement of he's too young to be world-class.
Way too young. Its potential is absolutely there for the age.
Let's talk about kind of how special this player is. Because I think
spectacular, man.
He has potential to be the greatest midfielder of all time.
I agree.
Which, if I might interject, I think, and Alejandro, I know you agree with this, but I think at the moment Modric really has a case for that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I right real quick before Aaron, do you rate Yaya Toure as world class?
That's a hard one. I really like him.
I do too.
I think him.
I think
I really like him.
I mean, honestly, I don't think there's been a midfielder like Yaya Toure since Yaya Toure. That's true for sure.
Yeah. You know who kind of reminds me? What's his name on Sheffield United? I mean, obviously there's levels. He plays in the center mid. He's another 6'3", kind of silky center mid.
I'm not sure.
He kind of reminds me of Yaya a little bit, but I think so.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, he was putting up unreal numbers as well.
He was. And he was putting in minutes.
Yeah, and I mean he played well at Barcelona too.
But yeah, no, back to what I was just saying because you reminded me of the center defense. But back to Bellingham, I think he has the potential to be the greatest midfielder of all time because 19 years old, has already captained Dortmund in a Champions League match multiple times. He's done that before. He's played with quality, experienced players like Holland. He's linked up with. He still plays with Royce. He plays with some tactical geniuses. He knows. He's got all the qualities, the dribbling, the passing, the defending, and the shooting, honestly. And the potential with a 19-year-old that has already done all that is it's powerful. I think it could go really good or really, really bad.
I think for me, what kind of speaks more to him about being kind of the greatest of all time conversation is, right, Birmingham retired his number.
Yeah.
And that is a club that has been around for 100 years, probably more. I'm unsure of their starting date. They have retired his number after how many matches for them?
It wasn't a crazy amount.
Maybe?
No, yeah, something like that.
Maybe. That is clear that what he's doing on the training ground.
Well, there's levels.
The effect that he has on his peers and his teammates to retire a number that quickly. That speaks volumes to me.
It does.
And I think that speaks volumes to how special of a player he is. And I'm really curious to see kind of where he ends up in this next season or so.
Yeah, so that actually gets to my next thing. I was wondering how you would think about Bellingham going potentially to Real Madrid. Because I know me and Aaron have talked about this. So it's kind of the thing between Liverpool and Madrid right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would love him at City, but
I would. Oh, I think any club would love him.
Yeah, of course.
I'd love him at Arsenal, right? Exactly. But what I think for Bellingham's sake, he's not going to go to Liverpool. I would hope not because Liverpool's crumbling. That's something else we're not talking about.
At the moment, if I can, real quick, I cannot imagine that, and I'm almost surprised by Gakpo's decision a little bit, but I cannot be a young player with a lot of potential. Of course, Liverpool will always be Liverpool. Special club, amazing fan base,
great history,
great history.
Right.
Anfield, toughest place to always play. Always.
Of course.
Liverpool will always have transfer pulls. But if you're that special of a player, I can't imagine wanting to sign a 5, 6-year contract.
You want to go
at
somewhere,
Liverpool.
yeah. You want to go
At
somewhere
the
where
moment they're
you want to
in,
go somewhere where you are guaranteed, not like you're guaranteed when you get there. Champions League football, first or second place finish in the league. You're competing for trebles. You're competing for trebles. That's what you want, especially when you're that young, right? So Jude Bellingham, he goes to Real Madrid. Right now, you stick him in with. You could have a year or two left with Modric. Maybe Cruz, so. Right? Maybe.
I think Cruz. I think Cruz.
And on top of it all, though, you have Tchouaméni, who's the France midfielder.
He was phenomenal during the World Cup.
Spectacular in the World Cup. Scored a great goal as well. Yeah. And him and Bellingham in that midfield, it's just like honestly, I wouldn't compare it the exact same players, but it's like how Barca replaced Iniesta and Xavi with Javi and Pedri, right? It's like they're replacing the kind of players how they play. They're like Iniesta was in Xavi basically they play very similar to Javi and Pedri, but Pedri and Javi are in their young years, right? What I'm saying is Cruz and Modric eventually will be replaced by Tchouaméni and say Bellingham, right? And then you
got Camavinga. You got Valverde also.
Real Madrid's got very good squad depth. They always have.
Stacked.
But yeah, I think Bellingham would succeed. He would succeed so well. He would succeed so well.
And I think I know we touched about a little bit on this last time, but I think the number of 100 million is completely fair for Bellingham.
Absolutely fair.
I think that's fair.
I was actually looking just 10-20 minutes ago at a picture of, I think it was the Premier League only, but it was like pictures of like transfers that have like the most expensive ones. Jack Grealish, right? Most expensive transfer in the Prem. So that like in a while, it was like what 110, I think,
something mil,
something like that. And not saying that Jack Grealish isn't worth that, because for Aston Villa maybe he was, but that was you get the English tax, you get that. But Bellingham class 100 mil, absolutely right into the starting lineup. He's playing all 90.
I agree.
It's a tough situation for Grealish, but I think 100 mil is spot on for Bellingham.
Yeah.
Solely because of the age as well.
Yeah.
And he's performed. He's performed on the biggest levels already. He has.
Yeah, he has. Right. Balled out at the World Cup.
Champions League every year for Dortmund. He carries that Dortmund team. It's really not a quality Dortmund side. It's not at all. You know, it's very average.
They always get picked apart.
Always. I mean, no, it's like that's just a problem with the Bundesliga though. Like Bayern takes the money, they farm it out, and then they it's happened since they took Lewandowski. That's just how it is.
Yeah. You know what? On the transfer note, I was watching the Newcastle Arsenal game today. Kieran Trippier. Obviously, we all know he's been a great right back. He was great right back.
Great at Atletico.
Tottenham, great at Atletico.
Yeah. And great for England in the last World Cup.
Great for England. And I've heard a lot of people kind of give him some stick over his move to Newcastle, that it's about the money, it's about this, it's about that. I think we've all been way too harsh, way too unfair. Well, I think what Newcastle are doing right now shows the sporting project, and I think people were way too harsh for him.
I think we need a solely dedicated Newcastle episode, because they're having a real crazy project. They're brewing something like that's like, and we were talking about this 4 years ago. I remember we were talking about some big money baller bought Newcastle, billions and billions of dollars, and everyone's like, nah, like.
Well, it was a Saudi Arabian national fund,
and everyone's like, you're taking the piss, right? Everyone's saying you're not right, it's not true, and it's Newcastle, right? Like what we've seen Newcastle with, not many good, you got your John Joe Shelby, right? You see like
back in the day,
clutch, no, absolute monster, but it wasn't any. They're battling for first right now. They really are.
They are.
Like, so with the turn, and it's been like just like that. Like it's pretty quick what they've done. They signed Isak, like very slept on. He's still injured right now, but like Isak, absolute great signing. Arsenal was looking at him for years. I wanted.
You know what? For us. I think you got to backtrack it a little bit. Signing they got right before Isak, or I mean,
it's just all the signings. It's all the signings.
Pope.
But that's why I said we need a Newcastle thing, because I can
go
through the whole squad and look at every transfer. There's a transfer defense, midfield, and
attack. Done phenomenally.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
I just want to say he's been quite a bit of unfair stick for Kieran Trippier.
No, we conclude though. We all agree. Obviously, flowers for Trippier and flowers for Newcastle. They're doing something. They're doing something great.
Absolutely.